Hello and welcome to Create Crochet with me, Rebecca. In today's video we're going to be making this really beautiful cup cozy. The main stitches that you're going to be using is chain, single crochet, which is the US term, or double crochet, which is the UK term, and slip stitch. And that's all the stitches we're going to be using to make this stunning cup cozy, which has got a bit of a bling on it. So to make your cup cozy, you're going to need to get a cup. I've chosen a plain white one. I'm going to be giving this away as a gift, so I wanted it to be as plain as possible. I've chosen a metallic yarn, which is a Peyton's metallic, and on here it's telling me to use a 5mm hook, which is a US size H. It's metallic and shiny and very, very pretty. So to go with the prettiness, I've decided to go for a bit of bling with my button. Now it comes with two on this packet, but we only actually need one. Now go for any size button that matches your yarn. And mine measures about 2 centimetres. So as I said, I only need one of those. So here is my 5mm hook. I've got some scissors just to snip off any loose ends. So you're going to need your cup all the way through this really, and we're going to be working back on ourselves like that, not going around. I won't be giving you any measurements or any counting hints in here because your cup is obviously going to be a different size to mine. I say cup or mug or whatever you call it. So I'm just going to rest it down. So the absolute first thing that we're going to do is make our slip knot. So you have the short end and the long end. Wrap in a circle, hold on to this cross section here. With the long end, push it through that loop that you've just made, hold on to that bit and pull on the small piece, and that is your slip knot. Put your hook in there, hold on to the knot and just gently bring it towards your hook. You want it loose enough that it slides freely up and down your hook. Now my yarn, it is slippy, but it's beautiful. So we're going to chain, and the way you chain is you hold on to your knot here that you've just made. You go front to back, always with crochet. You go front to back unless it's a special stitch in your pattern. You put the front to back loop into the hook section and bring it through. Now for the main body of the cup cozy, we are going to be using a single crochet, which is the US term, or the UK term is a double crochet. So that's single if you're in the US, or double if you're in the UK. Now as I said, I'm not going to give you any measurements here because each cup is personal, but just as you're making your first chain, just keep checking it against your cup. Like so. I'm going to need to do a few more. Now the main body stitch that we're going to be using, it is quite a tight one, but we need it to be tight because we will be sewing on our button onto the cup cozy. And if you use something like a double crochet or a treble crochet, you're not going to get the texture that you need to sew on your button. So that's about the right size for my cup. Now I'm not pulling it, I'm just resting it on the cup. I might do a few more actually. So just resting it on the cup, and as you can see, from my slip knot, which does not count as a chain, to the end of my chain, it sits like that. And that's what you want for your cup. So in each chain, it's made up of 3 pieces of yarn. And the way you can count, if you want to count to make sure that you are doing the right stitches, and some people may need to do this if this is the first time that you're crocheting what we call a block. Each one of these loops at the top is one chain. So you may not want to count as you're making the chain to fit your cup going across here, but you may want to count them now so that when you are making your block you're not losing or gaining any stitches. So they're here. There's one. The next one would be this one here, and so on. So with the chain being made up of 3 pieces of yarn, you're going to want to pick up the first 2. Now you're going to go from the second chain from the hook, which is, that's the first one, right there. So the second one is this one here. Now the reason why you do the second one from the hook is because the first one counts as your first single crochet. I'm going to be using the US term, so it's a single crochet. There's no yarn over. You just go straight into that chain and pick up 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and bring through the chain only, yarn over and bring through the 2 loops here on your hook, like so, and then into the next one, picking up 2 loops, and that's what your 2 loops on your hook should look like. As I said, although it's 2 loops, it only counts as 1. So you're going to go yarn over and bring through the chain, straighten your work out, yarn over and bring through these 2 loops, and that's another double crochet. Each time you do that, that's 1 stitch. So we're going to go all the way along our chain and make a double crochet in each of our chain, but as I said, not the one that sat next to the hook at the beginning. So you go all the way along and I will join you back here where I'll show you what to do with the next row. I'm coming up to do my last stitch, but I wanted to show you that this section here is just your slip knot. You don't want to try and get your hook into any of this. So I'm coming up to do my last stitch, which is here, right next to that tight knot. And that is what my cup cozy is beginning to look like. Just take my hook out there so I can show you. Flatten it out, and that's what it should begin to look like. So to get to the next row up, you take your hook out, make quite a big hook. Sorry, make quite a big loop. Take your hook out and turn. Put your hook back through the loop, and to tighten it up, hold on to your work with your left hand, and with your right hand pull on the yarn gently. Don't yank it, so that you have a gap like that in between your yarn and your hook and your work. And from here you're going to chain 1. That steps you up to the next round. It also gives you your first single crochet. So when you go into the next stitch, it won't be this first one here, because that's where your chain has come from. It will go into this one, the second one. So again, you're going to pick up the 2 loops that make the top of the stitch, yarn over and pull through your work, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. Now at the top of every stitch there is 2 loops. Let me show you. That's 1 loop there and 1 loop there. That's called the back, and that's called the front. You will be picking up both of those loops to get into your double crochet stitch. So I put my hook back in, and into those 2 loops to make a double crochet. Now, as I said, I am using the US terms, but the UK terms again is, this is a single crochet, and the UK term is a double crochet. And you go all the way along, making sure that you don't twist your work, that you don't do it like, twist it like this and try and then work into excuse me, the bottom of your chain. Make sure your work is flat and you are going into the tops of the double crochet that you made on the previous round. And into the next one. Make sure also that you're only putting 1 double crochet in each of the previous round's double crochet or single crochet. If you put 2 in the 1 stitch, you will be making an increase. So again, back to the chain that we made here, you must go into the top of the chain, otherwise you won't be making a square. Your edges won't be squared off. And that's your next round. So you chain 1, make a big loop, and turn. Put your hook back through the loop. The reason why you take your hook out and then turn is so that you don't twist this chain. If you twist the chain, it makes it difficult to pick up when you come to do a double crochet into it. So I'm just letting some more yarn out here. And if we lay it against the white cup, it's beginning to look really quite nice. So if we go again, we've just chained into the first one, so we don't need to do our double crochet here. We need to do our double crochet into this one here. If it helps, count. Making sure that I pick up the 2 loops of the previous row's double crochet or single crochet. Once you've got the hang of this, it becomes a really quite quick project, but really quite satisfying. So in there. And that's my next round done. And as you can see, I haven't gone into this one because I don't like to. Some crocheters like to go into this stitch here from the first chain row, but I don't. My edges are going up and not wiggly and all over the place. So let's chain 1, take our hook out, turn our work and put our hook back through and tighten that loop back up. So how are you getting on doing that? I've not completed mine yet. I just wanted to catch up with you. I'm about halfway round my cup. So I thought I'd catch up with you just to say how you're getting on. And are you making sure that you definitely are going through that chain space at the end? So I have actually counted my stitches just so I can go through a row with you just to show you what it would look like. So this is my last chain here. So I'm going to do the next row with you. So I'm going to chain 1 to get up to my next row and take my hook out, turn my work and put my hook back through so as not to twist the chain to make life difficult for myself when I come back to it. So into this first stitch here. So this counts as my first stitch, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I should have 11. So that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my 11th should be in that chain 1 that we did to start this round. So I'm going to pick up the 2 loops, chain 1, take my hook out and turn, and put my hook back through. So this is what your work should start to be looking like, where the edges are straight and not wibbly. So if we go again for another round, so into this, not into this one because that's where the chain has just come out of, you're going to go into this next one here. So that's 2, because the chain 1, as I said, counts as the first stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and into the chain stitch for 11. Chain 1, hook out, turn, hook back in. And I'm going to carry on doing the rest of mine off camera, and I'll see you back around. Okay, so with your gorgeously lovely glamorous cup cozy, once you've done it, you'll be able to wrap it all the way around, and the edges should just about touch the actual handle, but not quite. There should be a bit of a gap. Now we're going to make the loop that goes through the cup like that, and make a loop in which to use as a buttonhole. It's got quite sunny where I film right now. It's beautiful. So that's the top of your work there. With your cup cozy, put it on your cup like that. So you can figure out, as I said before, all the cups or mugs are going to be different that you're going to be working on. You need to work into these chains here. So I'm going to go for this chain, and that's into this stitch here, which is not a chain. It's a single crochet US term or a double crochet UK term. My apologies. So I'm going to go into the third one here. To get across, we are no longer going to make the single crochet stitch, we are going to slip stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to check that that is actually going to fit my cup. I'm going to actually just do one more, just to make sure of the fit. Always check your work, don't be afraid of doing that. Now we are going to do the single crochet into that one and into that one. Chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. So for it to fit through my cup handle, I'm only going to be working 3 double crochet. Don't forget this chain here, it counts as 1, and we're going to be doing 2 chains because we want it to get through the gap of the cup here. So that's 1, 2, looking through the camera lens trying to do this, and 3, making sure that I catch both of those 2 loops. Like so. Chain 2, and I'm going to keep going, making these 3 stitches until I have a nice long attachment, making sure I go into that chain space, a nice long attachment to go through the handle of my cup. Let me just double check things now. So if I lay that there, see that goes through my handle. I'm going to keep continuing to work until the actual piece that goes through my handle comes to about here on my cup cozy. So it should measure in the region of, let's just have a look, about 7 centimetres. So you go ahead and do this part. Remember, you're going to slip stitch along until it comes to the part where it will fit through your cup handle. Double crochet until it meets this side of the handle, and then continue on just working this section until it measures approximately 7 centimetres, or however long it takes to get to about here on your cup cozy. So you need it to go all the way through and give it a definite all the way through with a bit extra. So I've made the belt for my, I just want to show you what it looks like, made the belt for my button, but now I need to actually make my buttonhole, and this is so easy. So take all that off, and this is what your work should look like. All the sides are nice and neat and straight, both sides. So to make your button loop, all you're going to do is chain, and that's it, and then slip stitch. And again, this will be completely personal as to how big your button is, but the way I do it is I chain a few, make that loop big so it doesn't slip off, and where the loop comes to, just pretend like you've sewn it on and push your button through, and if it goes through, it's big enough. You don't want this to be massive so the button is just going to keep coming undone and your cup cozy will fall off. You just want it so that it goes through easily, like so. So once you've done that, put your hook back in, and to the chain over here, remember we chained 2 to get up to the next row, which also counted as a single crochet. You're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain. Now when you're doing this, remember, don't go into the 2 chain space. Make to do the double crochet, make sure you are actually going into the chain. And slip stitch. Snip off your yarn and pull through. And that essentially is the main part of your cup cozy made. Now what we need to do is just weave in these loose ends. So that one's a bit big, so I'm going to snip it down a little bit. Get my yarn needle. Now I use a metal one, plastic is fine. Whatever you're comfortable or have is fine. And the way you weave in the end is make sure you catch up all the threads onto your needle, and you're going to sew in this piece here by just going along and pushing your needle through your work. Push it through. Take the needle off. Now as you can see, the work has shrunk because it's puckered. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Now cut off your strand as near as you dare to your stitches without actually cutting your work, and then pull tight, and it's disappeared, like so. And you'll have to do it for the end where you started your work as well. So again, threading your needle through, catching all the strands through, and weave into your work. Make sure you go through all of the knots that make up the crochet, otherwise you'll be able to see the piece of yarn that we're weaving in. This technique is called weaving in. Take the needle off. That's what the work should be like, and we're going to pull it to pucker it. Cut the piece of yarn as near as you dare and straighten it back out. And that's your cup cozy. Now the absolute last thing to do is sew on your button. So you need to know where to do that. So thread this through here. Make sure it's all flat. And where the belt meets here, that's where your button needs to go. So keep hold of your button on there, lay it down flat, and that's exactly where your button needs to go. Now with the yarn that you made your cup cozy, snip some off and thread your needle. So all we're doing now is simply sewing a button on to your cup cozy. Double thread it, which means just folding the yarn over, making sure that the two ends meet. They're a bit frayed, so I'm just going to trim them off, like so. So you've double threaded. Carefully remove your button and put the needle straight in where the eye of the button was. Put your thumb there and remove the needle. Come through the back of your work and in. Make sure it's in the middle of your work and that you haven't lost that to one side, going to one side. Pull through, hold on to these pieces here and go back through, more or less in the same place where the yarn comes up. When you pull it through, don't pull those loops all the way through. Put the needle back into the same place and thread it through those loops. Pull quite firmly on that. That will create a knot without having a knot this side. and all you'll have to do is trim those loose edges off and it will be really secure. Pass your needle through the eye of the button, excuse me, and put the needle back through close to where those strands come out of your cup cozy. Now if you're using a thick yarn like me, you will only need to do passing the yarn through the button once. If you're using a thinner yarn, you may have to do it a couple of times until it feels secure. But for me, once is enough. So I've pulled that quite tight, and we're going to do this action. Put the needle through the work where it feels like it's got a knot. You'll be able to feel it. Pull it through, and with these loops here, pass the needle through both and pull, and do it once more. Pull it through, and with the needle put it through these loops and pull. Snip off the loose ends, and that is your cup cozy. Let's put it on the cup, see what it looks like. Hopefully it will look okay. Oh, off the fingers and thumbs. That's our chain that we made for our buttonhole. And that's your cup cozy present. Looks very glamorous. I'm very happy with that. And so you should be happy with yours. Join me for my next video.